Dear students, today we are going to learn an interesting short story, The Cop and the Anthem, written by O. Henry. O. Henry is the pen name of an American writer, William Sidney Porter. He wrote more than 600 short stories. His stories are humorous and ironical. Sophie is the central character in the story. He is a vagabond with criminal background. He is homeless and jobless. So he tries to re-enter the prison by committing a crime to protect himself from the severe cold winter. The writer tells the story in a humorous way. Freedom and confinement is the theme of the story. Sophie faces the irony of fate. After listening the anthem, Sophie realizes that real freedom lies in a virtuous life. At the same time, he is taken into confinement. He is arrested. The story ends in an unexpected way. In this story, you will learn new words from the story, explanation of the entire story in English, and summary of the story. Let's get started. New words from the story. Cop means police. Anthem means song. Asphalt means material used for making road. Trim means neat in appearance. Thanksgiving Day means the fourth Thursday in the month of November. Winter Island, here it stands for prison. I fell upon means saw or noticed. Decadent means old and worn out. Ignoble means dishonorable. Menaced means in danger. Mallard means a wild duck. Broadway, it is name of a street in New York. Coveted means greatly desired. Limbo means border place between heaven and hell, here meaning prison. Agitatedly means in a troubled or nervous manner. Pretension means bragging. Crockery means pottery. Napery means tablecloth and napkins. Betook means took. Callous means very hard. Pitched means through. Elusive means difficult to find. Enchantment means magic. Rendered means made. Lounging grandly means sitting or standing in a relaxed manner. Disorderly conduct means misbehavior. Gibberish means nonsense. Howled means cried. Raved means like a mad person. Twirled means turned something quickly round and round. Disconsolate means very unhappy. Unavailing means useless. Arcadia, here meaning paradise. Sauntered, walked in a relaxed manner. Sneer means mocking remark or smile. Larceny means theft of personal property. Premonition means a strong feeling that something bad will happen. Blonde means a person with pale yellow hair. Excavation means a pit. Avenue means road. Turmoil means mess or situation of anarchy. Quaint means old fashioned. Rambling means spreading in various directions. Gabbled means constructed with gables. Sabbath means a day of religious observance and abstinence from work kept by Jews and Christians. Convolutions means coils or twists. Immaculate means perfectly clean. Base motives means low thoughts. Mire means mess or unpleasant situation. Resurrect means restore to life. Without faltering means without losing strength. Let's begin the story. The Cop and the Anthem. Open your textbook, page number 28. The Cop and the Anthem. Sophie left his bench and strolled out to the square and across the level sea of asphalt where Broadway and Fifth Avenue flowed together. Up Broadway, he turned and stepped at a luxurious cafe. You know, Soapy is the central character in this story. He is a homeless and jobless person. We may call it he is a vagabond. He lives in a public park. He left his bench and, walking leisurely, he went to a place where Broadway and the Fifth Avenue flow together. Broadway and the Fifth Avenue are the roads in New York. After walking some distance, he stopped at a luxurious hotel. Sophie had confidence in himself. From the lowest button of his vest upward, he was shaven, and his coat was trim, and his neat black bow had been presented to him by a lady missionary on Thanksgiving Day. If only he could reach a table in the restaurant unsuspected, success would be his. Sophie had confidence in himself that he would reach a table in the restaurant unsuspected. He was shaven. His coat was clean and neat. He had applied a black bow to his coat. The bow had been presented to him by a lady missionary on the Thanksgiving Day. The fourth Thursday of November is observed as the Thanksgiving Day. The portion of him that would show above the table would raise no doubt in the waiter's mind. A roasted mala duck, thought Soapy, would be about the thing, with a bottle of wine and then some cheese, a cup of coffee, and a cigar. $1 for the cigar would be enough. The total would not be so high as the call forth any extreme of revenge from the cafe management, and yet the meat would leave him filled and happy for the journey to his winter island. Sophie decided to enter into the restaurant and to take roasted mala duck, a bottle of wine, some cheese, a cup of coffee, and a cigar. He thought that after taking meal, he will not pay the bill. So the restaurant owner will call the police and Sophie will be in the prison. Here, Winter Island refers to a jail or prison. But as Sophie set foot inside the restaurant door, the head waiter's eye fell upon his tattered trousers and decadent shoes. Strong and ready hands turned him about and conveyed him in silence and haste to the sidewalk and averted the ignoble fate of the menaced mallard. As Sophie set foot inside the restaurant door, the head waiter saw his tattered trousers and old shoes. The waiter understood that the person is not able to pay the bill, so he did not allow Sophie to enter into the restaurant. Sophie turned off Broadway. It seemed that his route to the coveted island was not to be an easy one. Some other way of entering the limbo must be devised. Sophie wanted to make a crime so that he may live happily in the jail for 3 months and he may protect himself from severe cold. He thought that it was not easy. He decided to do some new crime for it. Here, coveted island stands for his most desired place, that is prison. At a corner of 6th Avenue, electric lights and cunningly displayed wares behind plate glass made a shop window attractive. Sophie took a stone and dashed it through the glass. People came running round the corner, a policeman in the lead. Sophie stood still with his hands in his pocket and smiled at the sight of brass buttons. At a corner of 6th Avenue, Sophie saw attractive plate glass of the shop's window. He took a stone and dashed it through the glass. Some people and a policeman came running. Sophie stood there with his smiling face, with his hands in his pocket. Here, brass buttons stands for policeman. Where is the man that done that? Inquired the officer agitatedly. The police officer inquired, where is the man that done that? Don't you think that I might have had something to do with it? Said Soapy with a friendly voice as one greets good fortune. Soapy said in a friendly voice, don't you think that I might have had something to do with it? The policeman refused to accept Soapy as a clue. Men who smash windows do not remain to chat with the police. They take to their heels. The policeman saw a man halfway down the block running to catch a car. With drawn club, he joined in the pursuit. Soapy, with disgust in his heart, drifted along, twice unsuccessful. The policeman refused to accept Soapy as a culprit. He thought that a person who smashed the window do not remain to talk to the police. The policeman saw another man who was running. Soapy became unsuccessful in his attempt for the second time. On the opposite side of the street was a restaurant of no great pretensions. It catered to large appetites and modest purses. Its crockery and atmosphere were thick, its soup and napery thin. Into this place, Soapy betook himself without challenge. At a table, he sat and consumed beef steak, flapjacks, donuts, and pie. And then he told the waiter the fact that the minutest coin and himself were total strangers. On the opposite side of the street was a restaurant. It was not a famous one. It was for those who have large appetites and less money. Soapy entered in that restaurant without any challenge. He consumed beefsteak, flapjacks, donuts, and pies. After taking meal, he told the waiter that he was unable to pay the bill. Now get busy and call a cop, said Sophie, and don't keep a gentleman waiting. Sophie suggested the waiter to call a police. No cop for you, said the waiter, with a voice like butter cakes and an eye like the cherry in the Manhattan cocktail. Hey, phone, the waiter said in smooth voice, no cop for you. Neatly upon his left ear, on the callous pavement, two waiters pitched Soapy. He arose joint by joint, as a carpenter's rule opens, and dusted his clothes. Arrest seemed now but an elusive dream. The island seemed very far away. A policeman who stood before a drugstore 2 doors away laughed and walked down the street. Two waiters threw Soapy on the tough pavement. Arrest seemed impossible dream for Soapy. There was a policeman before a drugstore. He also neglected Soapy. Soapy was seized with a sudden fear that some dreadful enchantment had rendered him immune to arrest. He was in a state of panic, and when he came upon another policeman lounging grandly in front of a glittering theater, he caught at the immediate straw of disorderly conduct. Sophie thought that nobody was going to arrest him because of some magic. There was another policeman in front of a theater. He decided to conduct disorderly to attract the attention of that policeman. On the sidewalk, Sophie began to yell drunken gibberish at the top of his harsh voice. He danced, howled, raved, and otherwise disturbed the skies. To attract the attention of the police, Sophie began to cry loudly, like a mad person. He disturbed everybody. The policeman merely twirled his club, turned his back to Sophie, and remarked to a citizen, this is one of the ill lads' celebration. The goose eggs they give to the Hartford College, noisy, but no harm. We have instructions to let them be. The policeman turned his head and said to a citizen, that is a student from Yale College and he is celebrating the victory over Hartford College. We have instructions not to disturb these students. The policeman thought that Sophie was a student of college. Disconsolate, Sophie stopped his unavailing racket. Would never a policeman lay hands on him? In his fancy, the island seemed an unattainable Arcadia. He buttoned his thin coat against the chilling wind. Disconsolate means very unhappy. Sophie became very sad and stopped his misconduct. He thought that the island means the prison seemed an unattainable goal to him. He buttoned his thin coat against the chilling wind. In a cigar store, he saw a well dressed man lighting a cigar. At the swinging light, he had set his silk umbrella by the door on entering. Sophie stepped inside, grabbed the umbrella, and sauntered off with it slowly. The man at the cigar light followed hastily. Again, Sophie tries to do another crime. He saw a well dressed man in a cigar store. The man had set his silk umbrella by the door on entering. Sophie went inside, grabbed the umbrella, and walked away in a relaxed manner. The man followed him and cried, "My umbrella, my umbrella," he said sternly. "Oh, is it?" sneered Sophie, adding insult to petty larceny. "Well, why don't you call a policeman? I took it. Your umbrella. Why don't you call a cop? There stands on the corner." "Oh, is it?" Sophie gave a mocking remark to the man. Sophie advised the man to call a policeman. He also showed the policeman to that man. The umbrella owner slowed his steps. Sophie did likewise, with a premonition that luck would again run against him. The policeman eyed at the two curiously. The umbrella owner slowed his steps, and Sophie too did the same. The policeman just saw them and said nothing. "Of course," said the umbrella man. "Well, you know how these mistakes occur. If it's your umbrella, I hope you will excuse me. I picked it up this morning in a restaurant. If you recognize it as yours, why, I hope you will." The umbrella owner said that such mistakes occur sometime. He said, "I picked it up this morning in a restaurant. If you recognize it as yours, why, I hope you will." "Of course, it's mine," said Sophie savagely. Savagely means in a violent manner. "Of course, it's mine," Sophie said in a violent manner. The ex umbrella man retreated. The policeman hurried to assist a tall blonde in an opera cloak across the street in front of a streetcar that was approaching 2 blocks away. The man who lost the umbrella went back. There was a policeman. He hurriedly went to help a tall blonde. Sophie walked eastward through a street damaged by improvements. He hurled the umbrella angrily into an excavation. He muttered against the men who wear helmets and carry clubs because he wanted to fall into their clutches. They seemed to regard him as a king who could do nothing wrong. Sophie walked eastward. He angrily threw the umbrella in a pit. The expression "men who wear helmets" stands for policemen. He spoke against them because he wanted to fall into their clutches, but they were not doing so. They were neglecting Sophie. At length, Sophie reached one of the avenues to the east where the glitter and turmoil was but faint. He dragged himself toward Medicine Square, for the homing instinct survives even when the home is a park bench. Now, Sophie reached on a calm and quiet road. He was moving towards his home, which is a park bench. But on an unusually quiet corner, Sophie came to a standstill. Here was an old church, quiet and rambling and gabbled. Through one violet stained window, a soft light glowed, where, no doubt, the organist loitered over the over the keys, making sure of his mastery of the coming Sabbath anthem. For there drifted out to Sophie's ears sweet music that caught and held him transfixed against the convolutions of the iron fence. While walking, Sophie stood at a quiet corner. There was an old fashioned church. Soft light was coming from a window. A singer was practicing the coming Sabbath anthem. Sophie liked the sweet music and stopped there for a while to listen it. The moon was above, full and radiant. Vehicles and pedestrians were few. Sparrows twittered sleepily in the eaves. Or a little while, the scene might have been a country churchyard, and the anthem that the organist played cemented Soapy to the iron fence, for he had known it well in the days when his life contained such things as mothers and roses and ambitions and friends and immaculate thoughts and colors. In this paragraph, the writer describes the atmosphere around Soapy. The moon was full and radiant. There were few pedestrians and few vehicles. The scene was like a country churchyard. The anthem or the prayer song touched Soapy's heart. He knew the song in his past life when he had his family, when he had his ambitions, when he had his friends, and when he had positive thoughts about the world. He remembered his good old days. The conjunctions of Sophie's receptive state of mind and the influences about the old church brought a sudden and wonderful change in his soul. He viewed with rising horror the pit into which he had tumbled. The degraded days, unworthy desires, dead hopes, wrecked faculties, and base motives that made up his existence. The sweet music and the anthem from the old church brought a wonderful change in Sophie's mind. He understood mistakes in his life. He decided to give up unworthy desires, dead hopes, and low thoughts. And also, in a moment, his heart responded thrillingly to this strange mood. A strong impulse moved him to battle with his desperate fact. He would pull himself out of the mire and would make a man of himself again. He would conquer the evil that had enslaved him. There was time. He was young yet. He would resurrect his old eager ambitions and pursue them without faltering. Those solemn but sweet organ notes had set up a revolution in him. Tomorrow he would go into the roaring downtown district and find work. A fur importer had once offered him a place as driver. He would be somebody in the world. He would. Sophie's heart responded thrillingly to this strange mood. He decided to change the unpleasant situation. He thought that he was young and he would pursue his old ambitions and dreams. The anthem brought a revolution in his mind. He decided to find out some work tomorrow. He decided to be somebody in this world. Sophie felt a hand laid on arm. He looked quickly around into the impassive face of a policeman. What are you doing here? Asked the officer. Nothing, said Sophie. Then come along, said the policeman. 3 months on the island, said the magistrate in the police court the next morning. Oh, Henry. Somebody touched Sophie's arm. He looked quickly around and saw the impassive face of a policeman. What are you doing here? The police officer said. Sophie replied, nothing. Now, Sophie wants to lead an honest life, but he is arrested by the police for roaming aimlessly at night. The magistrate in the police court gave him the punishment 3 months on the island prison. The story ends in an unexpected way. We expect something to happen, however, the opposite happens. This is the reality of life. Summary of the story: The Cop and the Anthem is a well known short story written by O. Henry. The story is about freedom and confinement. The main character, Sophie, is a vagabond with criminal background. He is homeless and jobless. He lives in a public park. At the beginning of the story, Sophie feels that there is freedom from miseries and worries in confinement, that is, in prison. He makes multiple attempts to get arrested by the cops but fails. He needs a shelter for the winter. He thinks that prison is the best place to him. Throughout the day, he tries to commit a crime, but every time he is neglected or forgiven. At the end of the story, he walks back towards his home, which is a park bench. He sees an old church at a corner. He listens an organist practicing the anthem. The sweet music makes him nostalgic. He remembers his good old days. He remembers his family and friends. He assesses his situation. He decides to change his wrongful ways. He decides to do a job and turn his life. The irony of fate is that the moment he wants to lead an honest life, a cop arrests him and the magistrate sentences him to serve 3 months in prison. Dear students, once again, read the story carefully and do the brainstorming activities. For more videos, subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.